What's up, guys? This is your boy TradeMate once again. It's really been months that I uploaded a video on this YouTube channel, but yeah, I think it's about that time I start dropping some quality content on this channel, especially with regards to the way I trade now. Most of you that comes to my Telegram channel have been watching my Malaysian XMR video because basically that is the popular video on this YouTube channel. But yeah, I need to make this statement clearly that I don't trade the Malaysian XMR way anymore. It's been over a year I stopped trading Malaysian XMR. I've been more into order flow analysis using volume profiles and then book map and then a footprint as well. So my videos of late will be channeled towards this style of trading. And yeah, if Malaysian XMR is working for you, then that is good. But me, at a point, I felt the need to add some confluences to my trading, and in my exploration I ended up sticking to the volume profile and the footprint trading as well. It was something that I used to do even before I got to know Malaysian XMR, and then based on my schedule and how simple it is, I decided to look into it. But I recorded some videos for the community here on this YouTube channel. However, it was not a style that myself I was trading seriously, or I was even trading with it. Yeah, if you have been with me for a while, you know I'm more of a demand and supply trader. And so in my quest to improve my system, I decided to stick with the volume profile to be able to identify my demand and supply zones. So quickly, I'm going to do a recap of the two trades I took today. Basically, my rules allow me to take just one trade. However, if the first trade is a win, and then the second there's an opportunity that presents itself and is an A+ setup, I take it. And that's what happened today. So basically, if you have been with me, you realize that my system is rely on these three pillars, and the first is contest. And when I say contest simply has to do with me coming up with their thesis for why I'm taking a sell or a long position. And this is made up of my key levels plus demand and supply zones, S&D zones, at the same time the overall trend of the market. And then the next has to do with my confirmation signal, or basically an area of interest, which is the same as the S&D zones. These are my area of interest. So the next has to do with my confirmation, and this is where I use order flow basically to confirm my trade. So we are going to go over these two trades that I took during today, the New York session. I mostly trade gold during the Asian session, but yesterday I couldn't. My schedule didn't allow me to trade the New York's the Asian session, and we saw this huge drop. That was over 500 ticks drop during the Asian session, and then it continued during the London session. And then as you can see, we started to have some pullbacks, right? So my high time frame, because I'm a scalper, I'm a day trader, my high time frame is 30 minutes. Some you can use 15 minutes depending on your time frame for entry. I basically normally take my entries on the 5 minutes, so I just multiply times 6 because I want to see series of candles that forms my about 6 candles minimum that forms my high time frame. So when you multiply the 5 minutes, which is my entry time frame, by 6, you get 30. So this is why my high time frame is 30 minutes. Sometimes I go on the 15 minutes to determine my zones. However, I like to stick with the 30 minutes. Sorry. So when you go to the 30 minutes, you can see we had this huge drop, right? We can see we had this huge drop that dropped from the Asian session, or because it is coming from the supply zone that is over here. We had this drop yesterday, Asian session, and the whole of yesterday during the New York and the London session, we had this form of consolidation that is over this zone. So what happened was that price came to take all these relative equal highs here, tapped into the supply and dropped massively to the downside during the Asian session, stroke the London session. So at least I anticipated a pullback to at least 50% of the zone. And when you measure the fib, right, when you measure the fib of that range, you can see that we are currently at the 50% zone, which happens to be a supply area because of what this order flow structure point here. This structure point happens to be the same area of that 50%. What some of you will probably draw some form of rectangle here and call it breaker block. Regardless of the name, as far as it works for you, I have no issue with that. Yeah, so let's go into 15-minute then to see why I took my first trade as the buy trade during the New York session this afternoon. All right, so basically to be able to determine that if there's going to be a pullback, or a pullback has begun after a massive drop or after a massive pop into a supply zone or to the upside, what I look for is I look for a 15-minute change of what character or market structure shift. Yeah, so this is something of sort that I look for, and you can see that we had this huge drop. And then the price basically created this low, right? We had this low. Let me use this one on my drawing so it can be better. So we had this huge drop, right? And then we created this low. Now what happened was that after that low was created, price put in this high and then put in this low, and then what happened again? We failed to take this low, right? So the reason I have this EX is exhaustion, which basically is like failure to swing low, right? Because in effect, if we should have taken this low, but price failed to take that low, and so I waited for the break of this structure again. So in that case, I'm gonna have something like another break of structure to the upside, so something like this. Now this is a model that I've been teaching some guys that I trade with. Okay, so now if you have the failure to swing low like this, now if I'm going to take a buy, knowing that we are having the bearish market is strong, if I'm going to take a buy, I'll not take a buy after this break of structure, which is the first one, into this demand zone. However, I'll wait for the second break of structure, and then a pullback into the new demand zone is where I am likely to take my buy. This is because I want to be on the safer side and also to reduce my what our losses or our trades that has less probability of becoming profit. All right, so now when it happens like that, so you can see we have this break of structure, the first one. Now let me zoom out very well. If I go on the 5 minute, you'll see the first break of structure was here. All right, we had the first break of structure over here, then we had the second one over here, and then prior to my session around 1 o'clock New York UK time, you can see clearly that price gapped up and then created this imbalance over here. Let me zoom out very well. Created this imbalance over here, and this imbalance left a demand zone. So I waited for the pullback into it, and then I confirmed with the footprint, and then also this pop to the upside into this supply zone, right? Into this supply that is here. This pop to the upside, I looked at the bookmark to see where the huge volume stepped in, the huge buy volume stepped in to give us that pop into the supply zone. Okay, so that is where it was in confluence with this zone, and I marked that zone. Then upon price coming to it, we saw trap sellers in the wake, which I'll show you the footprint quickly. So let's go to my volume analysis. So this is Sierra chart. Basically, I use Sierra chart for my volume analysis. First of all, you can see that the opening of the New York session, right? We opened, this is London session, this is Asia, this is TPO. If you don't know what market profile is, this is a market profile, and I have volume profile with delta profile also beside it. So the square one is the market profile, and this is the New York session, right? Now, so what happened was that we opened somewhere here inside the London session, and if you can see the shape of the London session, you realize it's in the form of P profile, right? And if you know how to trade profiles, or you know profile shapes, you know a P profile basically, there's a likelihood that price will continue to the upside because the inventory was here. Okay, so once the inventory was here, so once we go outside of this P profile, or this is the bell curve, then we have this sort of wick, right? So this is where the inventory is, or the fair value is. So once we break out of it, you anticipate a continuation to the upside. So basically this is what's happening over here. So this is also what formed my thesis as well. And then when you come to this chart over here, I have this visible profile, and then I have the weekly developing profile as well as the daily session profile over here. Now, this was the low that was created, right? And then we have our failure to swing low over here from this low to this low. And then we had, let me show you quickly. We had this strong push to the upside, this candle right here. Okay, so this candle gave us a strong push to the upside, and all I had to do was wait for pullback. So prior to my session, we had this sort of consolidation here. Now look at the profile. This is the day profile that is currently developing. You can see that we have a distribution over here. Now I'm going to do a detailed video of my full system and share it on this channel. So we have a distribution over here, and then we had a breakup structure to the upside, right? Then we have a breakup structure as I showed you on the trading view chart. So a pullback to the edge of that distribution is where my entry is. So you can see this particular candle, right? I don't know if you see clearly. This candle was the pullback to the edge of that distribution. To the edge of that distribution, right? Let me see if I can get. So this is the edge of that distribution. So we popped out, and then what? We retested it, and then we pushed to the upside. So my trade was basically from this push to the upside, and that is, this shape is the same as what we have in this London session profile that I showed you over here. Okay, so the retest was here, and then I took it to the upside. We have this single point and this value area low of the Asian sessions where we are currently reversing. So having that confluence in play, this both confluences form my thesis for the long trade. Then when you come to my VWAP steady or chart, now this golden line is the beginning of the New York session, right? So you can see the low we put in during London, and then we began to enter into the value or developing value of the VWAP. The shaded part is the value side. So as we entered into it, I anticipated at least we'll go to the weekly VWAP, which is the green one over here. The green line is the weekly VWAP, and then the low was also in confluence with the monthly VWAP. So we rejected the monthly, and then we began to create multiple breakout structure to the upside. So I anticipated a reversal from the supply zone, which is in confluence with the weekly VWAP. And if you can see clearly, you can see I have the big trade indicator, which shows me huge volumes. Let me pull it here. You will see some boxes. We have the red one, then we have the green one. This is a big trade indicator that I currently have on my chart. So it is also, we have these sellers that stepped in and pushed price from the 3370 area. So that also formed my confluence as the possible area sellers will step in. So this is where I'm taking the buy trade towards to. All right. Then over here is my stacked imbalance steadies as well. And you can see clearly that we began to have a multiple breakout structure to the upside. And then when price tapped in, now those candles, you can see some are very huge. Some are very huge and some are tiny. So the big ones are the ones with much volume, right? So this was the candle that had the volume to the upside. This was the candle. And then what happened is that we pushed down to this previous stacked imbalance area that we traded through it, and then a retest to the next imbalance zone, what stacked imbalance zone was my buy trade. Now quickly, let me show you on the footprint. Let me show you on the footprint what I saw on the footprint to confirm my entry. Now let me move this one here. Today I'm doing a full recap of the way I've been trading for throughout the whole year. So those of you that comes to my DM on Telegram asking me unnecessary questions, you'll know how I trade now. Now, so this is the footprint chart. Now you can see clearly that we have, let me minimize it small. Okay, so this was the zone that I took my buy trade from. This zone is the zone that I took my buy trade from. Now, as we pulled back into that area, you can see buyers of 100 stepping into the zone. Okay, and then look at Delta. Delta flipped to positive from negative 109 to 74, and then we had sellers which were trapped. Look at the shape of the candle with all these sellers trapped in the wick with huge sell side delta of 120. Still, the price couldn't push up. So this was my confirmation as well. And then when you pull the, then I took profit around this zone, right? But when you pull the book map, let me bring the book map over here. When you pull the book map, my buy trade was around this zone. That's it. My system is quite slow. All right, so you can see clearly, if I zoom out, you can see clearly that the push we had to the upside, the buyers were sitting around this zone, okay? We're sitting around this area, and then we pushed to the upside. So this was the 50-minute candle that created the imbalance. And so I drew this box over here, and then pull back into it. I'll take it to the upside for a buy trade. Now, if I zoom out, you will see clearly how huge buyers stepped in that area. Look at this, a volume of 240, which is huge, okay? And then we had this shaded region over here where others that were sitting around that zone. So this was in confluence with the edge of the volume distribution that I showed you that we popped out, and then upon retest is what I'll take it to the upside. Now, there were others that were sitting at the 62 area, 72 area, sorry, as you can see over here, because what happened is that liquidity is always a magnet. The price is likely to head towards that area. So, but the way I use the book map is I normally use the liquidity zones as my profit target area. So this is what happened to we pushed upside beautifully to that zone. So I took it from that entry level to the 75 entry level, and that was a beautiful 1:2 trade. Quickly, I shared the analysis on Telegram. Let me show you. I shared the analysis on Telegram. Okay, so this was the pre-market analysis that I shared on Telegram. Possible 2 scenarios is always what I come into the market with. And then this was when I entered the trade. And then we're heading towards TP beautifully. This was my proof of execution. And then I think this was when we hit CP. I was showing them how the trade was going. Yes, and then I had this supply thesis as well, this sell thesis. I didn't take this trade, I must be honest. And the reason is because I was quite hesitant to take that position due to the fact that it reacted from the zone so quickly, so I couldn't engage in. All right, But I took a second sell trade, which I didn't share with the community, but I have the proof here as well. Let me show you. And that was this particular sell trade. Okay. So now what happened was that when you look at the 30-minute time frame, which is my high time frame zone. Now, after that sell that I was hesitant to take was invalidated, we had this guy over here. We had this level over here. And that was where price started to push as well as you can see clearly there was this imbalance that was left on the 30 minutes. So I waited to see if we can have a fill of that imbalance. All right, and then you can also see from the volume distribution clearly that we have this distribution over here. Okay, we have this distribution over here, and that was sort of the edge of that distribution that price was basically rejecting from. So let's now move on to let's look at the 5 minutes. I think I had a clear order block around that zone which I selected. So this is a 3 minute chart, and you can see that clear order block with that imbalance there, and we reacted from it beautifully. Okay, so what is that level on the volume profile studies? You can see clearly we have that zone over here which matches with what this low volume node or this edge of this distribution. We have this distribution over here, we have this distribution over here, and that is the top of that distribution. So we have a breakup structure, a distribution edge, and then what, a pop into it for a sell downward. All right, so that was the thesis for that sell trade that I took. And then let me show you another confluence. Also looking at my TPO's profile, you can see that that area was in alignment with the fingerprint and the value area low of what the Asian profile section that I have over here as well. And then over here on the stacked imbalance, you can see clearly I have these stacked imbalances as well. We popped into it beautifully with the buy trade I took, and then the sell trade also happened beautifully as well. So let's see another confluence on the VWAP. So on the VWAP, that rejection is coming from the weekly VWAP level, and you can see that we have the big trade indicator around this zone. All right, around this zone, which was a confluence as well. Now let's see what the footprint showed us with that trade, and then I'll show you the bookmap, and that'll be all for this session. Sorry this video took so long. So on the footprint, you can see that stacked imbalance as well over here. You can see that stacked imbalance as well over here. This is the stacked imbalance. All right, then we tapped into it with huge sell side delta of what, 300, and then delta flipped to -11, from positive 300 to -11 with this bias. Look at the profile with this bias stacked in the wick or trapped in the wick. And then we had a nice push to the downside. We had a nice push to the downside beautifully. And then I took my profit around the zone when I saw the shape of this candle with sellers stacked in and buyers stepping in, looking at the delta flip as well. So now let me show you what happened on the footprint, on the bookmap. I took that sell trade. Now, so coming to the session, like I told you, I had 2 levels drawn on the bookmap as well. I have 2 levels drawn on the bookmap as well. So my first level was this area that I took the buy from, and the second level was this area. Now, as you can see, when price was heading towards the supply area, bookmap is a bit slow. The supply area, you can see clearly this huge aggression of buyers stepping in, huge 257 aggressors stepping in, and then what, they got exhausted from 257 to 31, and then the bubbles became smaller and smaller, and this seller stepped in with a volume of 100. So that is kind of giving us a flip, right? Giving us a takeover. The sellers took over, the buyers got exhausted, there was no follow through, and the sellers took over. And that is where my entry was, and I took it all over to somewhere in this area. You can see clearly the orders that were sitting here was where I took my profit. I told you I used the liquidity areas as my take profit zones. So that is all for this video. If you want to see more of such videos, or if you want to learn such way of trading, comment below this video and I'll be posting more of such recaps. And I'm also trying to do a live trading session. I'm trying to set up a Discord or a Telegram group. I'll be doing a live trading session. It's not ready at the moment, but yeah, when I will set up, I will let you guys know. But if you want to search more videos like this, or if you have any question regarding this style of trading, just comment below and I'll do more videos into it. See you in the next video.